Welcome to the Science Edit, the podcast that breaks down the trickiest parts of science and helps you get it right when it matters most. I'm Miss Lima, and I'm here to support you with the science you need when you need it. Whether you're revising for exams, exploring future careers, or just trying to figure out why your last test didn't go so well, you're in the right place. Let's dive into our next episode. Welcome to our festive special of the Science Edit. Today, we're unwrapping the science behind some of our favourite Christmas traditions, from snowflakes to sleighs, reindeers to crackers, and even why we all pretend calories don't count in December. Joining me today are Mr. Hoskins, Mrs. Hillier, and our sixth former Ben, who, with a bit of chemistry, a pinch of physics, and a sprinkle of Christmas spirit, will find out what's really going on behind the sparkle. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today.
You're welcome.
Really excited to be talking about some science behind Christmas.
Yes.
So the first topic we're going to be looking at today is the chemistry of snowflakes that form when water vapour freezes, usually around a tiny particle of dust or pollen from the air. So does anyone know, why do snowflakes have 6 sides?
Isn't it to do with the bonds of the molecules or something along those lines? I'll defer to a chemistry specialist.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hoskins. I'm very pleased. And maybe the teacher in me wanted to let the others have a think first and have that time to before I jump in and being like, I know the answer. I wouldn't mind potentially even... But Ben, what do you think? Considering maybe I can give you some hints regarding shapes of molecules and maybe what do you think of those?
Well, I would probably say that due to the hydrogen bonding between water molecules, that's why they aggregate. Since they have 6 sides, it would probably be some sort of hexagonal shape. But other than that, I'm not sure.
I mean, you've hit the nail on the head, but just for the people who don't take A-level chemistry, like Ben, who is a fantastic chemist, yeah, pretty much it's all to do with the structure of water and the shape of water and how it bonds. And we look at bonding and chemicals all the way through from year 7 and all the way up to understanding and explaining things like how the shape of a snowflake, which we can look at even in A-level chemistry.
I've got a question though. So if the shape is hexagonal, because water molecules obviously bond in a particular way,
They do.
Why is it that no 2 snowflakes are ever identical?
Now, I'll be honest with you, as from a chemist perspective, I'm not necessarily sure I could answer that one. So it's a bit similar in terms of regards to fingerprints. So, I mean, from a chemist perspective, I could assume, and I think that, you can back me up here, sir, in terms of the physics and chemistry coming together, but it's all to do with the crystallization in terms of the temperature and the humidity in which... makes the in terms of the shape.
I'd like to throw in a bit of chaos in there as well. I think how many molecules are in a single snowflake? We're talking about billions, right?
Sure.
So the arrangement of them, just because they can attach to 6 sides to attach to, but when you've got billions of molecules, there are an extraordinarily large number of arrangements that are possible. As a slight aside, I saw a recent talk about the deck of cards. How many different orders are there to a deck of cards, and the number is absolutely phenomenally large.
That's just with 52
cards. And that's just
cards.
with 52 cards, and no two shuffles have ever been the same. And we can be quite confident with that, because even if you were to shuffle a deck of cards every second for the entirety of the universe so far, you would still be 0.000000000, etc., of all the possible combinations that there could possibly be.
Wow.
So you're just nowhere near. We will never shuffle 2 decks of cards to have exactly the same order.
Ever in history.
I imagine it's the same thing with snowflakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you brought this up. The first thing I think of, obviously, because we are all very passionate about our subjects, but explaining the concept of all matter to students is the basic of the chemical composition of 118 different atoms, but that subtle difference can make up the entirety of all of our matter.
Yeah.
Very similar to the alphabet and how you've only got 26 letters, but we've got our entire language.
Or look at DNA.
Oh, yeah.
ATCG.
Bring in the biology into it.
Absolutely. Going to move on to reindeer, because Rudolph did have a red nose. That's actually true, isn't it? Sometimes reindeers' noses do look red. Does anyone know why that is?
Yeah, so reindeer actually have a dense network of capillaries, which are a type of blood vessel that extend into their nose, and obviously they live in these very cold latitudes like Arctic and subarctic environments. So the importance of that is that, it plays a function in their homeostasis and their thermoregulation, which is obviously very important for their survival.
It's the same reason why if you're in cold weather, your nose will look slightly red, because you direct more blood towards the nose to warm up the air as it goes in, so it's not coming in and giving the body such a shock as that cold air moves in. Temperatures can reach, minus 20, minus 40 where they live, quite easily. So it's actually really important that they do warm that up. But did you know that their eyes also change colour in the winter as well?
I didn't know that one. I knew about the nose, and because I've never heard the eyes one.
Yeah. So in the summertime, reindeers' eyes will have more melanin in them, the same pigment that colours our eyes. So their eyes tend to look more golden in the summer, and then in the winter they'll have less melanin, so their eyes will look more blue. But I know another fact about reindeers as well. Did you know they can actually see ultraviolet light? So they can see in UV, so which we can't. We obviously can only see the visible light spectrum. Now, this is really important for their survival, because what it means is that white objects on white objects will actually have more of a contrast. So if there is a predator, say a wolf, that's got white fur, what it will mean is that the reindeer can spot them.
Oh.
So there you go. Some facts about reindeers you may not have known.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a comment here about how Disney got it wrong when they were drawing Bambi. And I know Bambi isn't a reindeer as such, because, he's not. And we know that from the
Bambi
antlers.
a fallow deer?
Yes, exactly. Well, but also the best way to tell is that Bambi's mother didn't have antlers. And so therefore, a characteristic. But Bambi, I'm sure, was drawn with blue eyes as well, which you could have used the science to dictate the time of year he was born. So there you go. Science and Disney overlap.
Yeah, so just to add to the eyes part, reindeer actually have this layer on the surface of their eyes. It's called the tapetum lucidum. It's very complex scientific terminology, but the bottom line is that reindeer actually undergo a seasonal eye colour shift, and because of that, as you've said, they are sensitive to different wavelengths of light as the season shifts, which helps them evade predators and find food, etc.
Oh, that's really interesting, because when we do eyeball dissections, the tapetum is one of those structures in the eyeball that's actually really nice to see, because it's like a blue-green layer. So when we dissect bullseyes, then you get the tapetum as well, and that's to do with how much light's coming in. So
is that the layer which is kind of sort of fluorescent? It kind of shines.
It's like a shiny colour.
Yeah.
So we don't have that, because we just have a dark choroid layer, whereas they have a colour tapetum. It means that light stays around in the eye a bit more, so it makes their eyesight not as sharp, but it means that they can actually see better. They've got better visual.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that when I was in secondary school, dissecting a sheep's eyeball.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've done that.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be 26 odd years now.
So it would be more common in prey as opposed to predators?
Yes,
yeah,
it would be. I'm going to move on to sleigh travel, because this is the one that gets asked a lot. So about Santa's delivery route and the maths behind it. So just thinking about how fast would Santa actually have to travel if he were to deliver toys to all the children. So if we think about it, about 2 billion children in one night.
Yeah, I think I'll lead on this one, being the physics specialist here. I mean, it's not overly complex physics, this, but you've got that many people to visit in 24 hours. Is it 24 hours?
I would like to jump in there, but you say 20. Actually, no.
Well,
actually,
I mean, it's not really,
it's
because
not,
it
because
starts at midnight on the Far East.
Yes,
and
exactly.
So he's actually got a couple of days,
there's
hasn't he?
Obviously physics in there as well in terms of
rotation
and time zones.
So he's got a couple of days. But he's got to get to 800 homes every single second, I think it works out as, or something very large like that, which probably, sort of, if you were to distribute homes evenly over the surface area of the Earth, which we know isn't the case, so there's a lot more sort of stop-start and then longer travel journeys. But we're looking at 10 million kilometres an hour, which is ridiculously fast. And if you were to travel that fast through the atmosphere, you would certainly burn up to a crisp in next to no time at all. So Santa has got to have some pretty clever technology to create some sort of...
So what we're saying is Santa is smarter than you, Mr. Hoskins. Is that what we're saying?
That, or he has the special power we call magic.
Oh.
Or could he have a wormhole?
That's what I was...
Well, I mean, perhaps he has warp bubbles or wormholes, and he's able to sort of... But still, that would still mean him walking from sleigh to chimney 800 times every single second.
I don't think you factored in twins here, sir. Have you put that into your calculation?
Oh, okay, 400 times a second if everyone is a twin.
Well, or just siblings. You could have 10 children in one household. That's all I'm saying. I just think that sometimes, don't get me wrong, the maths is there, but there is an answer to how Father Christmas or Santa can do this, because he does it every year.
This reminds me of a conversation I have with people sometimes about the physics of superheroes, and how can you use the laws of physics to help justify these very farcical ideas or fantasy ideas. Now, I'm not so sure about Santa.
Thank you.
But Superman, for example, how can he be really, really strong? And maybe his planet Krypton is a really large planet which had a really large gravitational field, and so his species has evolved to deal with a really high gravitational field strength. And then on Earth, it's a really low. So just like us going to the moon, we can pick up a much heavier or massive object on the moon. Superman comes to Earth and can pick up things which seem really light to him.
Well, yeah, just to go back to the Santa point, obviously it would require quite extreme distortions of not only conventional physics but also quantum physics, with things like tunneling, wormholes, and maybe even superposition, as Santa might have to, exist in multiple states at once to deliver presents to multiple homes. But I don't ever see scientists recreating the technology.
Now I just want to talk about the physics of Christmas crackers, including the chemistry behind the actual snap of the Christmas cracker, but also about the wastage that we see. So, Mrs. Hillier, can you talk about the actual chemical reaction that's going on there?
So it's the actual chemical reaction. You've got a thin metal strip that is coated with silver fulminate, and from that, in terms of when you put it, I should also mention that it's the same chemical that we have in toy caps. I'm not sure how popular they are. I think they've been banned now, toy caps, but we used to have them little.
I did.
I used to have one. Used to have them in little cartridges that you could put them into guns, but they stopped allowing children to have them because they are an explosive. Granted, it is at a very tiny quantity, but in terms of the friction that is created in the process, it creates a small explosion, very, very small explosion, and releases a lot of gas and sound energy and gives the delight of a Christmas cracker.
Something I did read was about the wastage, because I was just thinking, I wonder how many, we'll get those plastic toys in Christmas crackers. I was thinking, I wonder how much plastic waste it creates. And when I did some research, it said between 150 and 200 million Christmas crackers are pulled every December, which creates...
Just in Britain?
Just in the UK, which then creates more than 40 million pieces of plastic waste that just goes straight in the bin. Most of which is non-recyclable.
That's 2 to 3 per person in every single person in the UK.
Yeah, but I think, if you have like a school Christmas party, there's a Christmas cracker, you have them on Christmas Day.
We do have multiple Christmas meals.
The Christmas cracker is very much a British tradition, though, so at least there is... I'm not saying, that's fine then, because in terms it's not a global problem, but it is, while we're discussing it, it's speaking to Americans, they have no idea what a Christmas cracker
never
is.
more disappointed when I spent my first Christmas in America, and their Christmas is Thanksgiving, and their Christmas Day is just a meal. Just a meal.
No Christmas
you
crackers.
exchange presents, etc. But
Maybe
the Christmas meal really wasn't a big part of their celebrations. And
they're doing
really
better
tragic.
for the planet, but in that process, considering they're not having Christmas crackers and the amount of food wastage that potentially is associated with Christmas dinner.
I mean, well, considering Christmas crackers, obviously the United States would be more sustainable, but I think in general the US is a more CO2 emitting country, so
absolutely
you have to weigh in all of the factors, don't you?
I think that's a very valid point in terms of if we're talking CO2 emissions globally. In this context of just the Christmas cracker, they're doing better than us, but sadly, in many different areas, they are not.
So linking with wastage and extra, energy consumption, etc., then I just wanted to move on to Christmas tree lights, because actually modern Christmas tree lights, they don't use as much as the traditional lights did, do they?
No, LEDs are far more energy efficient than filament light bulbs or the old Christmas style light bulbs, which used, what was it called, some sort of bimetallic strip, which would bend when heated, and as it does so, it would break the circuit, and that would create a momentary flash, because once it goes off, it cools down, and then it goes back to its shape, completing the circuit again. But yeah, LEDs cut the use per bulb by sort of 90 odd %. So really much more energy efficient these days. And
They don't lose as much heat either, do they?
well, because that 90% efficiency saving is all heat was heat loss in bulbs.
I have a question, Mr. Hoskins, or anyone who can help me. Now, I don't know how old our listeners are, but when I was younger, we would have Christmas lights. And if one of the lights blew, and it probably wasn't one of these LED lights that you were talking about, maybe one of the more old-fashioned ones, but if it blew, every Christmas light on the tree went out, and we'd have to spend hours looking for which one it was and then replacing it. But that doesn't happen now. Why doesn't that happen now?
Well, it's all to do with how the circuit is connected, and I'm sure many of our pupils will be fully aware that series circuits, if one component, or in this case bulb, was to go, you break the entire circuit, and that means no current can flow through the rest of them. However, if you connect everything in parallel, when one bulb goes, the rest of the circuits are still complete.
That's amazing. I mean, I think my knowledge of parallel and series circuits has been out there for a while. Why did it take them so long to get to this realisation? Because I'm talking when I was younger. We're not talking 50 years ago, listeners. We are only talking probably only about 20, 30 years ago. Why did it take them so long to realise this and change it up?
I think it's just about the mass production, and to be honest, I don't know more than that really. But it's a good question because I have pondered that myself.
Well, everyone's favourite part of Christmas, I would think, is Christmas dinner. Now, a traditional Christmas dinner can top 3,000 calories. So
at least.
Yeah. I was thinking mine's probably more than that.
Which is double the daily recommendation. One mince pie, around 250 calories. A roast potato, around 100 calories as well. So to burn off a mince pie, you're talking about 30 minutes of running or 5 hours of walking. So I was going to ask, what's your take on Christmas dinner?
My first take is worth it. I think it's worth it for a Christmas dinner.
I mean, yeah, obviously it's worth it. It's a very popular celebration. But of course, considering the scientific point of view, calories actually a measure of energy, which is a common misconception. People often don't realise that. It's all to do with the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of, I think, 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So what that means is different portions of food, different types of food will have different caloric intakes. Obviously, Christmas is fun for everyone, but, it's important to be healthy.
I think if it's just one meal per year, then you don't need to worry so much. Obviously, you do need to be more mindful if you're having that every day.
It's 3 meals per year because we all have 3 crackers.
Oh, that's true. That's true. One thing I did find out, which I didn't know this when I was looking this up, was that apparently your brain, of your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, your brain uses up 20% of that. So if you have had a large Christmas dinner, then doing some thinking, like maybe doing some science or even watching a Christmas movie, you will be using energy, like doing that. Around 20% of your BMR is actually used up by your brain.
So what you're saying is next time someone's telling me I have to do some physical exercise for my health, I can say, can I just do a Sudoku instead? Which I would much prefer. Yeah, just do some thinking.
So that's Christmas through a scientist's eyes. Snow, sleighs, sparkles and snacks, all explained by physics, chemistry and biology. Whatever you're celebrating, keep your curiosity alive this holiday season. And remember, even Santa can't escape the laws of science. Thank you everyone for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much. It's been brilliant.
And we'll see you next time.